now plunge into Hooked on Sonics with Bruce and Tone Capone.
And we're live.
Good evening and welcome to the show. We are Hooked on Sonics, and I am one of your two hosts, Bruce. And as always, joined with the Tone Capone. This week we are honored to have as our guest The Animal, who was the backbone and the glue of the baddest band to ever live. He's played with the Dictators, Leslie West, Blackfoot, and most of all, he is known for his amazing contributions with Twisted Sister. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the man, the myth, the animal, Mark The Animal Mendoza. What's up, my friend?
Wow, man, that's some hell of an intro got going on there, man. Really, really.
Thanks, dude. It's all downhill from here, so I'm sorry ahead of time.
Yeah, especially two boys like you from the country, because over there where you guys are from, you're backward ass country blanks.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're holding this show together with some string and some
duct
tin
tape.
cans. Yeah.
Right, duct tape. That's not what I think of the rest of the country. I love every place. We just discussed that, so don't take offense to that because there's great people that love rock everywhere in the country, and I've been to a lot of places and always enjoyed being there.
Speaking of being to a lot of places, man, of all the places that you visit in the United States, give us your top 3 places you've loved to play shows at.
Oh, that's such a tough one.
I know three's kind of hard to narrow it down, but man,
it's hard to top. You can't even name the top one. I mean, we've never played anywhere that wasn't fun. For me, if you're asking me my opinion, we never played anywhere that wasn't fun, whether it was Oklahoma, Texas, in North America, so let's include Canada, everywhere, California. I don't care what you're saying. The audience is everywhere for us. We're out of control and amazing. Even in the 80s, when we started touring as opening up for bands like Dio and Blue Oyster Cult and so many other bands, and it was always amazing. Just the experience of traveling and doing shows. It's what I always wanted to do when I wanted to be a rock star.
Nice.
And I got to do it. I'm thankful for it.
Now, Bruce had mentioned that you had some time in the Dictators as well, and we've had the Dictators, or most current iteration of the Dictators on recently in the last couple of years, and with want to mention obviously the loss of Ross the Boss. What a wonderful fella. You got any great stories you could tell about Ross and your time with the Dictators?
Oh my God! I spent 3.5 years in the Dictators, and I joined the Dictators when I was just on the other side of being 18, 19, 20. And I was a young guy. I joined a band. We started playing in the New York area, like CBGBs. We played like every other weekend practically in CBGBs, nice. Hundreds of times. And the other clubs around the city and it like New Rochelle, there was a club, and Club 82, Max's. We played them all. And the experiences were, I mean, about Ross, right?
Right.
And they just had a private kind of celebration of life for Ross a couple of weekends ago. And Ross owned a really cool business. If you guys are into baseball, he owned a batting cage.
Yeah. So when we interviewed them, we had all of the Dictators on at the time, and he was in the batting cage doing the interview from the batting cage.
Yes. So the party,
that mute button.
Yeah, that gathering was at the Cage in Queens, and the showing was amazing. It was great, and there was a lot of teary eyes there, but everybody was laughing, having a great time, talking about Ross. It's a lot of stories I just can't say.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
No, but I'll tell you a few times when I first auditioned for the Dictators. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was in a club band. I was in college. I was a machinist in a machine shop, and my friend the drummer in the band that I was in, he was a few years older than me, and his name was Freddie, and he gave me Go Girl Crazy and said to me, and this is really important because it rang true my whole life. He said, learn these 10 songs. I'm going to get you an audition for this band of Dictators. And I looked at the cover and I said, is this a joke? Is this a comedy album? And he goes, no.
Oh
So,
man.
so let me just finish this quick part of the story. You guys will appreciate it because you've been in music a long time. So I learned all the songs. I was really confused. I didn't want to play music like that. I grew up listening to Hendrix and Cream and Mountain and Cactus and Humble Pie, aggressive rock bands. And this wasn't an aggressive rock band. So Freddie picks me up to drive me into Brooklyn to do the audition. And I'm sitting in a car with him and I say, Freddie, should I play it the way it is on the album? And he goes, no, you do you. I said, because I'm not going to play it anything like that. He goes, you're aggressive. You do you. And I did, and they loved it. And I joined the band. Obviously, they wanted me in right away. And the first thing was Ross said to me, you just changed the sound of the band. Now we all got to catch up with you. We got to play more aggressively. We got to do all of this stuff. And that's what happened because I just did myself. I just went in, played bass to what I did, a little bit of hitting, not a lot. Just, they didn't know what they were getting into. And that's what they all said to me. So, but Ross said that. He goes, when we rehearsed the first time, he goes, you just changed the sound of the Dictators into a rock band rather than real punk rock band. So that was great. And things automatically happened on stage. The drummer was great. Richie Teeter, God rest his soul. He was an incredible person and a great drummer and a great vocalist. Of course, Andy Chernoff back then was playing keyboards and singing also. But Ross and I were aggressive on stage, and there were some points, which I'm sorry, there's really no video or pictures, but there was 2 songs where I would pick the guitar up and I'd put the top of it in my mouth and he would put the other side of the body in his mouth and I would play it like this and he would do a guitar solo and we did it so much and nobody got a picture of it. And then at times I would say, he know I was going to tilt it up to the audience like this side. So I tilted up so they could see my fingers on the neck and our heads were tilted and we got the bass in our teeth. I got my old Fender bass and my old Gibson Grabber, teeth marks in it.
That's awesome.
That's so great.
Yeah, it was so cool being in that band. It was so great playing with Ross and the other guys too. And unfortunately, Scott Kempner is also gone. God rest his soul. He's a great guy. So who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with the Dictators. I spoke to Andy a few times. We're just gonna meet to hang out next month.
Yeah.
I know that he is completely decimated because he and Ross started that band in 1972. They were the first 2 members of the band.
Yep.
And I get it. He lost his soulmate there, in the band.
Ross was. We've done several interviews with several different guests.
Right.
And of all the interviews that I look back on, the time that we did with the Dictators and Ross was in the batting cage dealing with customers and stuff, that nothing beats that episode for me, man.
No.
It was just classic internet gold, he's just sitting there chilling. And if you ever get the chance, man, go back and watch it. It was
I will. I will say one more thing about, I'll say multiple things about Ross, nothing bad, but we were in the talks about he and I doing a project together.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not going to work out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got connections to him, so we'll see if I can bring him back.
Nice.
I love that.
But yeah, we were talking about doing a project together.
Now, are you currently working on any projects?
I'm working on a lot of stuff. I have a writing partner, an amazing, great friend of mine, Marla Adler, and we've been friends and stuff for a long time. And she is a blues, jazz, pop singer to this day. She's incredible. We write amazing songs together. So we have been writing songs for independent films. And we have a bunch of songs in various films coming out this year, including just musical pieces. So I've been working on that, and I've been working with two other independent artists. And I can't mention names, but I am working on possibly two different rock bands.
Nice.
Okay. I'm also working on a band that's not really a rock band with Marla and some of my good musician friends. Yeah, we'll
That's
do mostly
nice.
originals. Yeah, we're going to do mostly originals on that. So that, I mean, that should turn out great, and we should have things rolling, you know, by the middle of the summer, end of the summer. Yeah.
Very
Nice.
cool. Yeah, I know with Marla, I think the last single that you guys put out was Maria's Dying.
She's
I think that
released
was yeah.
she releases the music. I let her do all of that stuff. Not
Yep.
that I let her, we're partners, but
Yeah.
she does that. And there's more songs on online besides Maria's Dying is
Hmm.
I'm Your Christmas Present, and there's a few others that are out there. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, you'll hear more from us in the near future.
Good, good.
Yeah.
I love it. So, you had said when you came into the Dictators, it changed the sound of the band to this harder edged thing. But the album that you recorded, Manifest Destiny, is not considered by a whole lot of people as super hard edged. I love that album. I asked Andy, I'm like, dude, what the hell were you going through when you wrote that album? Because it's heavy, like from an emotional perspective.
You know, a lot of bands, and I'll use some names. When you heard their albums, they didn't sound aggressive rock bands. Like, take one of my favorite bands, ZZ Top.
Mhm.
Their albums were laid back sounding, but you saw them live, and they put out each, Dusty, God rest his soul, also, and Billy, and even Frank Beard. They put out notes that were huge. They were just massive, massive notes.
Yeah.
And I toured with ZZ Top in the Dictators. We did
Oh,
about four
wow.
months with them, and I got to see them every night. And
Nice.
their sound was phenomenal. So then you listen to the albums, and they were kind of laid back. It was just the way recordings went in those days, for the most part.
Hmm.
Same thing if you listen to really early Twisted Sister studio stuff, even our demos or EPs, they were kind of laid back. If you saw us live, it was a wall of sound.
Yes.
It literally was huge notes, big sounds. Everything was roaring, and D always announced AJ as, the sound of thunder, because it was,
Yeah.
it really was. So, yeah, I mean, you could say that about Manifest Destiny, but when we played live, those songs were a lot heavier,
Oh
a
yeah.
lot bigger, a lot heavier. But Andy's an incredible songwriter,
Absolutely.
phenomenal songwriter, really is a phenomenal songwriter. And recording that album was an amazing experience, and getting to know, Sandy Pearlman,
Hmm.
God rest his soul too, and of course Murray Krugman, and everybody else associated with the band. A lot of people are gone now. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's a very underrated album. Very underrated in their discography. Couple of the songs that really always stuck out to me is Disease and what can you tell us about that song? What do you remember about recording that
Well,
song?
it's not so much the recording of the song, but I would say that just about every night we played that song, Handsome Dick had a different rap.
That
It
doesn't
was
surprise me.
never the same. And I mean, tears would be coming down my cheeks most of the time the way he handled it. So it was great. And Andy did that organ piece that sounded like you're at a
Yeah.
a funeral or a death thing. And
Hmm.
oh man, it was funny. So um, I could tell you a quick studio story about recording the album. We're up at the record plant in I believe we were in Studio C. And as a jokester, I mean, I was a big jokester in the band, but as a jokester, okay, so got to think about this. Think about a really rare huge Neve console from like the 60s. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And we know how delicate it, even though they're built really rough, it's still the electronics are delicate. Hands a dick, picks up a fire extinguisher and just opens the door and sprays it. And in those days, the white powder that came out was caustic.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ruined that. They had to take it apart for months, cleaning everything, all the faders, everything inside where it got into. Yeah, they weren't happy about that at all.
That's
So, uh, again, here's another Dictator story for you. So, we're recording that album,
Mm-hmm.
and I just finished 4 or 5 songs on bass. It's really easy for me. I always know it all, and I just go right through everything, and it was good. And I go into the break room, and I sit down at the table, and a guy walks in. I don't know who he was, and he goes, "Mind if I sit with you? Suit yourself, man." And we start talking about music, and he says that, "Oh, you're the bass player in the Dictators." I said, "Yep." And I didn't know who he was. He didn't introduce himself. I didn't think anything. And so Scott Kempner is looking in the door at me, going, like biting his nails. So we had this whole conversation. I had no idea it was Bruce Springsteen.
oh shit.
He was recording the album then in one of the other studios. No idea. Didn't know who he was. So when I saw him the next day, I apologized. He goes, "No, man, be cool. You were telling some great stories. I loved it." That was so
That's so awesome.
that was another thing that happened there in the Dictators. But it was I could tell embarrassing stories. I could tell all kinds of things. Well, raising my right hand, okay.
Mhm.
Never drank, never did a drug, never smoked a cigar, never anything. I was back in those days, and including up to, about I was quite a healthy guy.
Mhm.
And then of course when you get older, health things happen. So I'm good though. I'm good. I'm
Yeah, good.
stabilized. I'm good.
Good.
And but it was just it was so insane. I mean, we stayed in a place. You guys might know this. No few people know about this thing. Ohio,
Mhm.
maybe Cleveland. Come on, what was the most famous hotel? Don't give me
Holiday
a.
Inn.
Come on, think
In
about it.
Cleveland?
It was a one-off. It wasn't a chain. It was a one-off, and it had a very unique name. And all the rock bands played there. And I'll give you an even bigger hint.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin wrecked the 13th floor. That's what John Bonham threw the TV in the pool
Oh
with
shit.
extension cords. Come on, you Ohioans. Come on.
He would catch us off guard, man.
Yeah, no shit.
Damn.
Oh man, come on.
Go for it. I can't think of it, man. It's right on the edge of my tongue. I can't think of it.
Okay, so there was a hotel in Cleveland called Swingo's Celebrity Inn.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
We stayed there. We stayed there the 4th of July weekend. We were actually playing with the Dead Boys because they were from Ohio. You know
nice.
that, right? The
Yep.
Dead Boys? Yeah. So we stayed in the hotel and the 13th floor was closed off. The elevator didn't stop there. The emergency exit steps, the doors were locked. But I actually jimmied the door open, snuck onto the floor and saw all the damage that was done. It was they leveled the floor. They destroyed it. Oh yeah, it was unbelievable, and it was still they didn't touch it, I guess, for insurance or charges or something like that. But yeah. So I saw all that damage in Swingo's Celebrity Inn.
oh, that's
Wow.
funny.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, there's a great story
Uh-oh.
when when you guys were on tour with Kiss.
Oh boy. Go ahead.
It was hotel related,
Oh boy.
and
Which
it was
hotel?
you're going to have to remind me. So,
I Give me something because there's so many stories about
yes.
hotels.
So all you guys were sitting at the pool, and I believe it was you, made some changes to the sign.
I wonder if the statute of limitations isn't up on something like that. Well, anyway, I'm not going to tell you where it was, but it was the Kiss Tour, and it was a name brand hotel, and everybody, we were all sitting by the pool. It was after a show. It was just calm. There was no fans there. It was nice. It was summertime, but a nice cool breeze. And we're all sitting there, and I look up at the sign and I read what it said. And now Richie Teeter, like I said, God rest his soul, great guy, was a camera buff. Take pictures. Always had his 35 millimeter loaded with film. And I leaned over to him and I said, pay attention. Keep your eyes on that sign. And he goes, why? I said, just get your camera ready. So I go into the hotel not knowing I'm going to be able to get up there. But I found the on the fourth floor, I think it was the third floor, I found the hatch in the roof at the end of a hallway in a stairway, and I climbed the ladder, and it wasn't locked. Push it open. I'm on the roof. I walk across the roof. I climb down to a ladder because the ladder was on top of the marquee in front of the the front of the hotel, which was right next to an interstate highway. And I got there was another ladder to climb up to the sign, but there was a stick there that you move the letters with, and so I'm up there, and the only thing you can see in the photos is a silhouette of me because the sign is white, and you see me reaching up and changing all of the letters, and then I climb down and you can see me standing there looking up at the sign. I'll tell you what the sign said. Do you know what it said before I changed it?
Go ahead. I'd rather you say it. This is great.
The sign said, "Take your wife out to eat tonight for $4.95."
I
Innocent enough.
I know. I remember hearing that.
Yes. Yeah. And when the police showed up, no one flipped me in. I just came down and sat in the chair. I was sitting there and I was sipping water. And, the police came in and, hey, who did you see? Did you see anything? And everybody's like, no,
Yeah.
we've been sitting here. We're all calm and relaxed. Oh, yeah, yeah. So I was sitting back in my chair. You can't see me. I was sitting back in my chair.
This was before there was a camera everywhere.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You couldn't get away with that now, without a doubt. So another Dictator story that had nothing to do with Ross. Steve Shank, who was our tour manager, who's still a great friend of mine and friends with the band. It was just, I was causing problems just for the fun of it. No drugs, no alcohol, just pure adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
And he was being hard about giving us per diems. So part of the hotel was under construction down the hallway. So I grabbed this big steel cart and I put all these huge bricks on it. And I went to his room and I bricked his door in. So when he opened the door, there was a brick wall there. and I used these 2x4s to brace the wall up so you couldn't just push it down with a piece of plywood. Oh, yeah, yeah. And you hear him behind the door going, "Oh, guys, it's not funny. I got to get out of the room." Oh, yeah, he couldn't move the wall. It was great. I bricked him right into his hotel room.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
See, that's what happens. Young guys out on the road. What else you gonna do?
Stupidity, man. It's all stupidity.
Ways to kill time on the road.
Yeah.
Which is just all fun. It was no I never hurt anybody. And that's just my father would have killed me if I hurt somebody. And I never had that in me. You want to fight me, I'll fight. If you really want to corner me, you're gonna have a problem. But other than that, no, I never hurt anybody. I was a maniac with a rent-a-car. Maniac with a rent-a-car, being the mechanic that I am. You got to remember, those cars in those days had no computers. They were carbureted. So I always carried a little toolkit with me, and I'd get in there. Like a lot of times I had a full-size car, like a Ford LTD, which turned into a Crown Vic. But you're talking about in the 70s, and they always had the big engines in them, 351. A couple of them even had 428s in it. And I'd get in the back, and I'd loosen the distributor and advance it by like 4 or 5 degrees, maybe 6 degrees, and tighten it back down. And then I go put some high test gas in it. And it ran. I mean, it was so much faster. And then in those days, because there were no catalytic converters, you could get the car hot
Yep.
and you could shut the motor down while you're driving and pump the gas, and all the fumes went into the exhaust pipes, the exhaust system, and you could turn it on and it would be a huge explosion. The car would jump up a little and the exhaust system would be laying in the roadway. And now it's loud, and you hope it's at the right point where there's still some back pressure for the motor to feel. And the car was even faster. I like it. It's like automatic headers without getting under there and changing the exhaust manifolds.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, stuff like that I did all the time.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that's awesome. So, one other question. So, on the release live at the Marquee, in one of Dee's stage raps, he had mentioned a time where you was with the Dictators and you guys opened up for the Stranglers.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
what he kind of alluded to, they weren't big fans of yours.
Um, at this point, I'll say for sure what I knew.
Mhm.
Um, it was really the bass player. Um, I can't remember. He was French. It was Jacques. I used to call him Jacques Too Tight, but he was Jacques. The drummer and the guitar player, they were great guys. They were really nice, and I had a lot of words with them. That was also the first tour we did of England. We did a whole tour of the theaters back then called the Odeons. There
Oh
was an
yeah.
Odeon in every large city. And I think we were on the road with them for about 3 weeks. And the audiences were brutal to us. They were absolutely brutal. I mean, really bad news. And as it went on, they liked us more and more and more. But there were some tense times, yeah,
Yeah.
between the bands, really mostly because of their bass player. Nothing ever came out of it though. Nothing
Yeah.
came out of it. At this point, it's all about the music and not worried about someone's attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened on that tour, and I can't get into some of the other things because I don't think I don't know what the laws are in some other countries, but there's probably no limitations on what you can get charged with 45 years later,
Hey,
50
well,
years.
especially in England these days, they're getting a
Yeah,
little goofy.
yeah, they are. They are. Love the people. Absolutely love the people.
Absolutely.
No two ways about it.
Yep. So, you're having such a great time in the Dictators. Why, what kind of led you to leaving and auditioning or, getting over to Twisted Sister?
Well, that wasn't, I left the Dictators in March of 78, and
Mhm.
I didn't get into Twisted until December. So that's a big gap there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a big gap there. So my leaving the Dictators had nothing to do with me joining Twisted Sister.
Right.
Um, it was everybody in the Dictators had a different idea of what they wanted to do musically.
Mm.
And personally, we had started establishing, God, we didn't want to call it. We established a formula of how we sounded and how our hit songs sounded. And
Mhm.
I thought that was the proper road to go down, and we keep it nice and heavy live. And then Ross wanted to do something extremely heavy.
Mhm.
Andy wanted to go more pop, and Scott had his ideas, and Richie and I were like, no, we got to keep the formula that we did. Just like when you hear all these early bands, when you heard Van Halen, the albums kind of all blended together in the beginning. AC/DC, even to
Mhm.
this day, it all blends in together. All of them do. I love these
Oh
bands.
sure.
And Van Halen and Black Sabbath. Come on, man. Black Sabbath, when they played, it was Black Sabbath. So, and they wanted to drastically change that formula, and I didn't want to go that route. And there was a few other things going on in the band. It was like the glue was drying up, and the band
Mm.
was falling apart. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna. If you guys we can't agree on this and do these things, then I'm gonna leave. And I think that some of the guys were happy because they didn't want to keep that formula. But that album was much bigger than the first album, much for us in sales and popularity. I'm like,
Mhm.
how do you knock that? So it went that way. I left the band, and they went on, and unfortunately, they didn't do that well. They just didn't do that well, and I didn't wish anything bad on the guy. I love the guys. I always did,
Sure.
always
But
will. I love the guys.
they were. I mean, musicians know. Like if you pay attention, I've had conversations with Bruce and other guys about this. Musicians know, especially musicians, when they sit there and they go, okay, I really enjoy this band. Who influenced these guys? One of the things I often cite is a band a guy that you never really hear about. And if you're a musician, you know who they are and what they meant to certain people. But Rocky Erickson, I bring him up all the time on the show.
Yeah,
If you don't know who he is, sorry, you missed the bus. But you know, guys and Dusty from ZZ Top knew who he was.
of course, of course.
It's, you guys got to understand. There's things in the music realm that influence those that you listen to, and that's where you really want to kind of dig and go. What? That's when you start really picking apart a musician's mind and understanding. Okay, what brought them to this? And I think it's just wonderful to hear about. I often talk about who is it? Montrose. You know, people.
Thinking, roll that back a second and say that statement again.
I often tell people about.
Montrose.
I often tell people about Montrose, and it's like,
Okay.
either you know about them or you don't. And a lot of people don't. I talk about Triumph. A lot of people don't really realize that there were a lot of big bands in the '80s, but you're only talking about bands that are pretty much American. But what do you know about those cats from Triumph out of Canada? You know what I mean? So and Bruce will tell you, I explore music all over the world, man. All over. Like some of my
Mhm.
favorite bands come out of Sweden, Germany.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course, of course. But you mentioned Montrose,
yeah.
and that first Montrose album,
Oh,
Sammy Hagar on it, was a milestone in playing rock music, recording rock music, and performing it.
well, and
Okay.
another one, Mata Hoople.
Oh, well, that's even way before that too.
Mhm.
Martha Hoople was amazing, was incredible.
Yeah.
As a club band, we did all the young dudes, Twisted Sister,
Yeah.
for many years. Yeah, a great band. But the rock, that version of rock that Montrose did, and the way the album was recorded, you were just blown. I was blown away by it when it came out, and incredible. And that to me had the feel and the music that I love to play, and part of what I grew up on, listening to Mountain and Cactus and Humble Pie and all of those kind of bands. So um, you're right. You're absolutely right. Certain things behind the scenes, and even as a young musician, I always realized that I may like something, but it might not be the best way to go.
Mhm.
I always thought of it as a band as a whole. Like, what do we have in the band? Who, what's the talent? Who writes stuff? And nobody can argue with the fact that Andy is not an incredible songwriter. He
Mhm.
really is.
Oh yeah.
And we should have concentrated on that and not gone to try to change the whole thing, which, I mean, if I didn't leave the Dictators, I wouldn't have found Twisted. Well, I already knew the guys in Twisted. I already knew them and stuff like that. But I want to go back to one thing, and I want to make a statement.
Sure.
When I talked about joining the Dictators, okay, my friend, my drummer at the time, Freddie, um, and that's a whole nother story. We're good friends again. Not that we were never friends, but you lose touch with people.
Sure.
So I didn't speak to him for 43 years. And about 2.5 years ago, he contacted me, and now we're best friends again. And he lives on the West Coast. Of course, I'm on the East Coast. But is an a really important statement that meant the world to me, come from the heart. When he handed me the Dictators album, and I learned it. And he goes, you got to learn it. You got to learn the 10 songs on there. And I go, why is it so important to you? He goes, this is going to kickstart your career. And look at my history.
Yeah.
And when I finally talked to him again, I talked to him about that conversation. He goes, yeah, I remember saying it to you. He goes, you were the guy in the band at the time that we're in, that you really had that desire to go and do it and fight. the other two guys were either drunks or stoners. When Freddie didn't do anything, he was clean. But and if I could have taken him with me, I would have. But we
Yeah.
lost touch. There's only phones back then. There was no internet. There was anything. So he moved away. He moved to a whole bunch of different places. But we're good friends again. But that was such an important line to my life. Do this. It will kickstart your career. That's
Nice.
amazing.
That's a
And
great
it
story.
did. And it
Yeah.
did. And it did. And I have to thank him a million times over for what he said to me and made me do. Because I didn't really want to do it. I didn't care for the music.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the CBGB scene, and I actually was immersed right into it and learned all about it and then appreciated it.
Yeah. One thing that people can say about you is you have tenacity, you have a drive, you're a big kinetic ball of energy. What How influential were your parents in kind of molding that for you?
Wow,
I
that's
know
a
that I know
go
that
ahead.
both of them were veterans in the
World
Second
War
World
II.
War. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
How important were they in molding that drive?
Okay, I'll add a quick story and I'll make it
Yep.
keep it abridged because I don't want to take up all the time on this show. Um, my father was and always will be, even though he's not with us for a long time, a bastard of Bastogne. You know what that is?
Hmm.
The Battling Bastards of Bastogne, 101st Airborne. My father was there.
Wow.
Roughest battle in World War II. He lost most of his friends there. My mom was an American Red Cross nurse, and she actually lost a couple of her friends from snipers and explosions near the front lines. So my parents were battle hardened. They were great people. They made mistakes like every parent, but they wanted the best for when they had two kids, me and my sister, who were real close with. They wanted the best for us. There's no two ways about it. So, um, as far as influence, when it came time when I joined the Dictators, I was still in a club band with Freddie. I was going to college, and I had a part-time job at an auto parts store being a machinist. Okay, I was busy, and I was in the Dictators. And I'll never forget, I was in the Dictators for about 4 months. We were playing a lot of gigs, and they sat me down and said, "You got to make a decision. It's an important decision." We just got offered the Blue Oyster Cult tour, which is basically going to take up about 8 months of our lives. You're going to have to leave everything else, or you got to let us know because we got to find somebody else. And just to let you know, they auditioned 28 bass players before me and didn't like any of them. And then I
Wow.
walked in and I decimated the place, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not egotistical about this stuff. So I got all the information about it and I said, let me go home and talk to my parents. And I did. And again, to cut the story down, I remember sitting in the kitchen and telling them all the possibilities. And I was 18, close to being 19. And my father said, why don't you take a break for a minute? And your mom and I will talk. It didn't take 45 seconds for my mom to call me back in. She goes, come in. So my father said, I know how much you want this. I know you don't drink or do drugs or do anything bad. He didn't know that I was the destructive kid, but in any case, it was only I was always a moment away from being arrested for doing something stupid. So and anyway, so my father was talking to me and my mom was talking to me, and my father said, "You make us one promise." Okay, Dad. You know, okay, what is it? He goes, "If it doesn't work out, you come home and you go back to college." And I said, "Without a doubt. I promise you that the first thing." And then he said to me, no matter where you are in the world, if you got to come home, I'll come get you.
Mm.
I was like, wow,
Mm.
you know. So in any case, so that really bounced around in my head for 24 hours. And then I said, I'm going to do it. And now you know the rest of the history.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Nice.
Wow.
That's how it happened. Yeah, that's how it happened. And I never had to go back to school because I was always, playing rock and roll and becoming famous,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Nice. So obviously you went in and recorded with the Dictators, and you've obviously recorded several all relevant albums with the Twisted Sister one thing I want to ask is, did you notice anything different in the recording process between the two bands? How did you guys approach that? Was there a different approach for both bands, or was
Um,
it pretty much still, kind of the same?
well, you're talking about the technology at the time was the same.
Yeah.
I mean, between the mid 70s up to the early 80s, it was still the recording. And I have become an audio engineer 50 years ago. I do it all the time. I work with other people. I just did some audio engineering for a couple of movies. And one movie that I was in. I'm also been in a bunch of independent films, acting also. I do a lot of voiceovers. But back to the question, the technology was pretty much the same. Of course, you had everybody was always and still is stuck on the old outboard gear, tube driven. You can't match those compressors or those EQs, anything from that era, the old RCA stuff. So
Not me.
it's pretty much the same. Well, I mean,
Not me.
we've moved on since then with with Pro Tools and all kinds of digital formats and all the plugins that you get. So, but I still know plenty of people that have all of that gear and maintain it, and it's still, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. That's all it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it was still the same when TS started recording when I was in the band in the late 70s. You record, guitar player and bass player and drummer record, but you're doing it for the drum track. Then
Yeah.
we go back and I do bass over it, and then we do the guitars. So you laid everything the same way a rock band would layer things. That's what we did. The Dictators did it. Twisted Sister did it that way, and everybody else that I work with, especially in those days when everything was analog.
Hmm.
Did 16 or 24 track analog. Yeah.
Yeah. So before AJ joined the band, Richie was in Twisted Sister for a hot minute.
I think it
Ha-
was about 6 months.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't that work out?
It didn't, it's not that it didn't work out. He was not into being in Twisted Sister.
Mm,
He's a great drummer
hmm.
and a great guy. I mean, there's no two ways about it, but he wanted to play other types of music. And he did. He pursued that. It didn't go too far. It went a little bit for him, but unfortunately, he's not with us anymore either. That's a
Yeah.
tragedy too. It really is a huge tragedy. But it didn't work out. Not for us. It was really for him. And we looked for a drummer to replace him, and of course, we found AJ.
Yeah.
So, and he was happy.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. Plus, I don't think he liked playing as much as we played. We were playing 5 nights a week, three
Hmm.
shows a night.
Yeah.
And some of the traveling was a lot in the tri-state area. I mean, we could have played, well, the club scene was immense back then. I don't know if you guys know about it, but even a mediocre band could play within 110, 120-mile radius of New York City and never hit the same place for like 3 months.
Wow.
Oh, it's so many clubs, so many clubs. I think that was a little bit rough on him. I think
Yeah.
he wanted to be home more and be with his family. So
Yeah.
his wife, yeah, I think that's what it was. I never really asked him, but we stayed good friends.
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
No, I've never heard anyone say a bad word
No,
about Reggie.
no, a great guy,
Yep.
absolutely great guy. Just I have fond memories about him. And I actually remember Richie always following me with a camera, taking pictures of everything. And I said, that stuff has to stay. It's evidence against me. Keep it hidden, you know?
So, how important was it going to the UK for Twisted Sister? Like,
Um,
what was it like when you guys went over there? Because obviously the first two albums were recorded over there. Like, were you guys kind of like spinning your wheels over
well,
here at the States?
we had we did showcases for everybody in the industry here. They came
Mm,
to see us. We did showcases in SIR with 3 seats in the audience, so people would sit there, and we got turned down like 42 times.
mm.
We were playing a big club on Long Island called Hammerheads in Islip or West Islip, and the drummer Bobby Rondinelli, we all know who he is. He played
Oh
with
yeah.
Deep Purple and
Mm.
Dio and everybody. He was there with oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. The president of Secret Records. He said, "Let's go." He asked them. He asked Bobby, like, "What's a great band to see?" He goes, "You got to see Twisted Sister." They
Mhm.
came down. We met him, and he said, "I'm signing you guys." So Secret Record was a little independent label, but it was something.
Yeah.
It was something, and we had nothing before that. Anything we put out was self-produced and self put together and sold by us. So we accepted it, and we came up with a contract, which was awful, almost no money involved, but he flew us over and we recorded Under the Blade with Pete Way as a producer,
Hmm.
which was a whole nother comedy act. Pete, God rest his soul too. He was such a great guy, man. It was really good. I did a lot of the engineering, but it was recorded in many different places and mixed in many different places because he got the studio time piecemeal, and that's not exactly the best thing to do, but
No.
we made it work. And it was a very short period of time. So the album was done. We fly back to the States. Um, we need to do a tour. He wants us to come over for what, about 3 or 4 weeks. I don't remember exactly how long, and just tour England,
Mhm.
you know, and just everybody get used to us, including, playing with Motorhead, who, we know how big they are. And we know how much everybody, including Twisted, we're good friends with those guys. And we, a couple of weeks before we're supposed to go, about 3 weeks before we're supposed to go, we got a call that Secret Records went bankrupt. They're closed. At that point, here in the metropolitan New York area, the club scene was collapsing because the drinking age went from 18 to 19, 19 to 21.
Hmm.
Okay. So it was really collapsing. The bridge was starting to disintegrate and we needed to cross it. So we went and borrowed and begged and borrowed money to fund our own trip over there, which was the best thing we could have done.
Hmm.
And we did. And that's when uh, Phil Carson, who signed us to Atlantic Records, I don't know if you know who he is. Phil
I
Carson.
know the name. Yeah.
Phil Carson signed Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Rolling Stones, you name it. I
Yeah.
mean, he was just one of the biggest names, and He's British. And our last night in England, we played on a show called Top of the Pops,
Hmm.
and it was raucous. It was insane. Lemmy even came out and played bass with us on the songs on the last song, and he saw it on TV. He was sitting with Mick Jones from Foreigner in London, and Mick says, "I know those guys. I know who they are. They're from New York." And Phil turned to him and said, and just looking at it, said, "I don't want to meet them. I just want to sign them." So here we are. The morning we're supposed to leave
Hmm.
London and fly home. Our manager comes in. My manager, Mark Puma, comes in, and he's got a happy. We're not going home defeated. That's what he said. You guys aren't going home defeated. We just got signed to Atlantic Records. And we're like, what? Yeah, go back, do what we got to do. And we're going to start working on the next album with Atlantic Records,
Wow.
which was obviously Can't Stop Rock and Roll.
Yep.
So
Yep.
everything was the last. I mean, we drove across that bridge and it crumbled behind us.
Yeah.
With the club scene, it really was. It's a shame because it was such an incredible club scene. It really was.
So would it be safe to say if you guys didn't go to England when you did, the band wouldn't have survived?
Um, how do you roll the dice and say, well, if I bet on this horse a little bit later, I won't make more money? You
Yeah.
don't know. But in this country and where we played in the New York area, every record company in the world is in New York City,
Yeah.
and nobody was interested in us. They came down. Matter of fact, is what I was going to say. Is a couple of presidents of certain record companies watched for like a song or two and got up and walked out. And we got a whole stage set up in SIR, with everything. And just they walked out. And it's like, wow. It's funny. You walk on the stage, you start doing your show, you're being intense, and there's three chairs out there with three guys sitting in the chairs, and then
Yeah.
one by one they walk out, But we sold out. We sold the Palladium out twice, and headlined it, unsigned, no albums out. I mean, how do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
do that? So, it was crazy. You're never sure what was going to happen. It was definitely, it was. So if you look at a roller coaster and it's got a big sweep and it goes like this, the
Mhm.
sine wave. Come on, Mr. Engineer, right? The big sine wave.
Mm-hmm.
So if you looked at it, the sine wave was like this, really close. It was every day. It was a different. You're up, you're down. You're up, you're down. You're up, you're
Yeah.
down. You're up. It was insane. It was just such an emotional, insane roller coaster. It really was.
Well, I just
But we lucked. We got out of it.
Yeah.
talking around that time, I was telling Bruce, I said, what we often talk about where music, our love for music really began. And, as a young child, I would hear things like Journey, REO Speedwagon,
Sure.
Cat Stevens and stuff like that. But I never really found my place, and then what was it? It was 83, 84, November of 83, Quiet Riot dropped Metal Health.
Yeah.
And then you guys dropped Stay Hungry in March.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we're talking like 6-7 month period. MTV's at, probably at one of its greatest peaks. And it was just, I knew right then and there, that's where my head was. Rock and roll, metal, this other stuff was not for me. And I credit you guys and Quiet Riot for being such a huge influence on my journey into metal.
No two ways about it. We all were, and I got to say one other thing is when I joined Twisted, the guys in the band already knew me quite well. And the repertoire that they were playing, the songs they were playing weren't so heavy metal and hard rock. But when I joined it and we started playing those songs, and I talked to D about it and he goes, we gotta up this game, man. It's not heavy and hard enough. So
Yeah.
he also said to me, you just changed the sound of Twisted Sister as a club band. You brought it up an incredible amount of levels and we got to keep up with you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you
Yeah.
listen to those early demos and some of those early stuff, I mean, it is like a different band.
D is another fantastic songwriter.
Yes.
A
Way
fantastic
underrated.
songwriter.
Very underrated.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's an incredible songwriter. And
he's not too bad of a director either, man. That Strangeland was actually a pretty dang good film, man.
yeah, well, we also recorded the main song for the movie. You know that.
Yeah.
Heroes Are Hard to Find.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was done in the 90s. But it was the band also all of a sudden got more aggressive and crazy sounding. When I joined it, we started doing Ozzy and Judas Priest, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, and we stopped doing like David Bowie songs. Not that he's not great, he is. David
Right.
Bowie's an amazing artist. But we stopped doing the lighter kind of rock stuff and
Yep.
went for the heavier. And then we started putting originals in there. We one of the bands in the club days out here on Long Island. We probably did about 40% of originals during the night. A lot of original songs, and people loved it.
Yeah. How long did it take for you personally to come up with your image? Like, I'm sure it took, with your makeup and like how you wanted to present yourself.
That part of the image.
Yeah.
I got to say that there was another person that was very talented behind the band. Dee's wife, Suzette Snyder.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She made all of our clothing except for the shoes, the boots.
Yeah.
We had them custom made, and she designed the makeup stuff. So
Okay.
she put it on me and she drew it on paper, so I knew what to look at, and I had to get used to doing it myself. So
Yeah.
I did, and when I did it, it looked more like war paint instead
Yes.
of just makeup. Yeah. So did D. It looked like war paint on him also. Yeah.
Oh, your guys' imagery just mind blowing. I mean, you guys came on stage, and I often tell Bruce, if I had like 3 dream shows, if I could see 3 dream shows undisputed, you guys, Sleep, and the Talking Heads. I would love to see you guys. Just those are my bucket list shows. I've watched several concerts and your guys' energy, and I just don't understand how D man was all over the stage like he was. Like you guys had such energy, man.
Yeah. It was for me. and I'll never speak for the guys in the band. Everybody had their own opinions about stuff. For me, doing that was in my blood. That was my, it still is. It's in my blood. I love doing that. And there were for and the other thing is on stage, unlike just about every other band, nobody would know it, but there was a lot of comedy between us on stage. Okay. Especially D and me and AJ.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of comedy. It was some of the funniest stuff that would go on and nobody would know. So yeah, we would change the lyrics of the song and sing the background stuff, and T would hear it through the monitors and just crack up. Nobody cared. Somebody would make a mistake. I remember one time, there was a lot of times, but yeah, the guy that worked on the crew, Dwayne, he would write the set lists for all of us and put it, because it was different. Every country we went to, the set list was changed up. We didn't do the same exact thing every night. And there was a few nights where he would write a different set list for, like, me and D and AJ would have one set list, and the two guitar players have another one. So we go to start a song, and it sounds like a train wreck. I mean, it just sounds like some sort of big explosion. They go, whoa, 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 wait a minute. And it was the coolest thing because he knew how to control this. He goes, and he'd look at the audience and point to the guys in the band. He goes, obviously, somebody tonight is doing drugs. And nobody was doing drugs.
Right.
Nobody was drunk. But so he'd walk over and Eddie or something with Jay would say, no, this is what's on here. And he goes, no, that's not what we have. This is the song we need to do, guys. And he would just mouth it to us, and we knew. He goes, all right, let's click our heels and try this one in front of 110,000 people. Let's click our heels and let's try this again. AJ, and he would count it off when we go into the song. So no matter what would happen, the band would recover from it because he was an incredible frontman. It really was. He turned everything into funny stuff and a joke. And the guys in the band never got mad about anything. And we're like, oh my God, somebody made a mistake. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
That's
it was that much fun.
I absolutely agree. That's one of the things I love about your band, about you guys, is it never seemed like you took yourselves so seriously. Where like other bands, like if that happened in Kiss, my God, heads would roll. But you have that ability just to
laugh at yourselves.
We accomplished a lot of things that a lot of bands don't do. I don't know your histories in music. I certainly know mine and a lot of bands around me, and even some of the peers like Motley Crue and Poison and all of the later kind of hard rock hit bands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the difference between Twisted and them, and I'm not putting them down at all because I know all the guys, I love them all, is we had a 10-year history playing the clubs. We were a well-oiled machine before we got to these big shows. We really were. As a matter of fact, even as a club band, right towards the end of the club era, we opened up for Judas Priest twice because they liked us. In New Jersey, we opened up for them in some place in New Jersey and in another place. So we're not even making albums yet.
Yeah.
But we had that reputation. So, and you guys know, as a musician, when you play that much and that many shows, whether you suck at it or not, you become really good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Twisted sucked. We didn't.
No.
But we were a wall of sound. And I'm talking power-wise, not volume so much, just power-wise. Everything was a wall of sound, especially if you listen to some of those live shows, even in the club days, like the Detroit shows.
Mm-hmm.
There was a club just north of New York City in Westchester called Detroit. Not plural, just called Detroit. And everybody calls it Detroit's, with the S at the end. It's not, it's Detroit. Anyway, it was a big open room, and 2 summers in a row, 1979 and 1980, I believe it was WLI one day and WPLJ the next year. They came in and did 2-track recordings of us and put it on the air also. And if you hear those shows, the sound, even though it wasn't microphones on everything, it was just room mics, is enormous.
Yeah.
And it was always a great representation of what the band was like. Because remember, I used to see the band before I was in it. It wasn't that big. It was great. I would take nothing away from these guys without a doubt. But it was great. But yeah, we turned into like that well-oiled machine. Really
Yeah.
did. 10 years of playing clubs before we got anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
At least 4 nights a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it just helps with the chemistry. It helps with your guys' bond.
It was. We and it was there was things that we never rehearsed but worked out extremely well. Sometimes D would stop us because there's something goofy happening, and we knew exactly what, bam, and we'd stop the song. We wouldn't just fall apart. It was just something we never rehearsed it, but you always got to pay attention when you heard D saying something through the monitors. You look over and he'll look at us, and AJ would be the downbeat and we'd stop. And he'd look out in the audience and pick on somebody or do something like that, which happened all the time. Don't just stand there with your arms crossed.
No.
Because he would tell me, go look over there, and I'd run over to the side by the monitor board, and I'd put the headphones on and talk to our light man. I'd say, okay, this section, guy with the cowboy hat with his arms crossed. When D mentions him, light him up. And you'd have like a dozen super troopers. The lights on the stage would go down, and he'd be like in daylight, sunlight. And you're like, wow. Oh, yeah, yeah. You could feel the heat from the lights. It was so intense on him or whoever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happened often. Yes.
So Mark, just real quick, going back to an album, one of the things I've always wanted to ask, if I've ever gotten range to ask the question is, on Come Out and Play, you guys had an intro that was very reminiscent of the Warriors. How did that come to be?
It wasn't reminiscent. It was the Warriors.
I know.
Well, D and I and the band were big fans of the Warriors because it was about New York. It was a kind of a B-rate movie. It was well made, but it was just a great movie. And we were trying to come up with a beginning, and and D said something about being sniffly. I said, well, what about the intro, the Warriors movie with the bottles? Ba-ding, ba-ding, Twisted Sister, come out and play. That's where it came from.
Yeah. I was sitting there as I was listening to the discography today, and I was pointing out to my buddy John. I was like, man, if there's one thing you can say, these guys knew a way to create an intro and really get you excited for the song that was coming your way. There's just so many different intros that you go, okay, you get warmed up or you get geared up, and then it just cuts loose, and it's one of the things I think is a trademark for Twisted Sister as a whole, is that you guys have this way of coming up with amazing intros to get you warmed up into a tune.
Oh yeah. It was always great. It was all well thought out and staged. We were never shy about talking about the bands that influenced us, either as a band or individually. And AC/DC, Judas Priest, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Dio. There was so many, but there was some obscure bands that you guys maybe never ever heard of that actually influenced us. And I often do a contest about one of our songs and say, where did this come from? And nobody's ever gotten it. We actually play a riff that's from another rock band of the early 70s era.
Ooh.
All right. And we're proud. We didn't do it to steal. We did it because a lot of our songs have feels of the band. Like if you listen to our Christmas album, most of the songs, what would Iron Maiden do here? What would how would they play this? And we do it. How would AC/DC play this? How would Black Sabbath play this? So we would kind of cop the feel, and most people never even realized that that's what was going on. But that's what we did. We didn't want to play the Christmas songs the way they were originally played.
Right.
So we went, instead of just doing it the way we would do it, because even in the clubs, all the music that we played sounded like we did it. We didn't copy the originals anywhere near how they was. We just learned the song when we Twisted Sisterized it.
Yep.
Automatically. It would happen automatically. But yet it was There was so many things, little notes or riffs that we put in songs that nobody would guess. And I would always have a contest, whenever I was on the air for a while. Like I had my own podcast for many years, about almost 6 years. And it was a live podcast every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. around the world. You can turn on and get 22 Now,
Wow.
with me hosting it. And I had a cast of characters with me at times. But so there's all kinds of things. So not come out, play. Can't Stop Rock and Roll.
hmm
Okay. There's a famous riff in there. It's not really ours. We modified it a little bit, but if you knew the band, you knew the song. And no, I'm not going to tell you. Hey,
Okay.
listen, the two of you.
Can I guess what
Yeah.
riff it is?
Just
Can I guess what riff it is?
No, because
Ah, you
No.
stink,
you
man.
guys are going to come up with the name of the song and the band, or
okay.
I won't admit to anything.
Ah,
Am I allowed to
Deal.
curse on the air here?
Absolutely.
yes, of
Okay.
course.
Well, I don't usually curse. Obviously, you've been listening to me speak. I don't curse usually, but I'll tell you what. You could suck the shit out of a dead dog's ass before I give you an answer. All right? How's that?
We got homework, Tone. That's all I
hey,
gotta
look,
say.
I can tell you. I'm pretty sure I know what the riff is.
All
I
right,
just can't
so
tell you.
say
I
it.
can't tell
Say
you
it.
where
Go
it's
ahead,
from.
but
I can't tell you where it's from.
Come on, tough.
I can tell you it's ja-na-na-na. That's from something. Ja-na-na-na, ja-na-na-na,
You're talking about that,
ja-na-na-na. That's the riff.
You're actually talking about that guitar part that JJ starts and Can't Stop Rock and Roll.
Okay. Is that the riff?
Nope.
Oh man.
You might be able to place it someplace. I keep sitting back, I'm sorry, and
No,
dropping
you're
off the
fine.
camera. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be relaxed. I'll get off the camera. But no, that's not it. And I always say this riff and that because and it was a band that had a couple of albums out in the very early 70s.
Okay.
Okay. And you're going to search for it forever and you'll never find it because you don't know the name of the band. But both D and I were fans of that band.
Oh, don't be
I'll-
surprised. I know some pretty obscure bands. I was raised with a lot of band
How
knowledge.
old are you, man?
I am 50 this year.
You're a punk ass kid. I'll be 70 in a few months. There's no freaking way you're going to know what I'm talking about.
We'll find out. We'll find out. My
All
dad,
right.
my dad turned me on to an awful lot, bud.
You figure it out and you let me know, okay?
If I do,
Deal.
I will fire off.
And you
an
can give me
email.
guess. You guess this, you guess that, but I'm not going to answer 50 guesses. You better
Okay.
come really close, on the third or fourth time. And I'll admit it.
Okay. I know you.
No one's got it. No one has ever gotten it.
Okay. Challenge accepted. Let's go.
Bruce, it's on.
Okay.
So
Mark,
I'm going to have to play the theme song for Jeopardy for like 2 years. You guys ain't getting crap, man. You're not getting anything. Go ahead, my friends. Go ahead.
so, since we're kind of talking about come out and play,
Yeah, go ahead.
it wasn't, for whatever reason, and I'd love to pick your brain about it. It wasn't as successful as Stay Hungry. Was when guys were recording that album, was there any kind of like a hangover effect from, all the success from Stay Hungry? Like what was kind of going on at that point?
I mean, Stay Hungry was it was huge, dude.
Right.
That's when you take a look at the catalog, they had huge albums, but when you it's very hard
Okay.
when a band hits that kind of a peak, man.
Well, if you look at Can't Stop Rock and Roll, even Under the Blade, and then you look at Stay Hungry, that was kind of volume 1, volume 2, volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
Come Out and Play wasn't volume 4.
Right.
The band screwed with the formula. I didn't want to do it that way. Well, we screwed with the formula and it didn't work.
I still thought it was a great album.
It's a great album. Of course, Dee's an incredible songwriter, but it was the wrong songs, done the wrong way. And the first hit, which I fought about, was Leader of the Pack.
Yeah, that was a weird
We
first
did
choice of a single.
Well, we did Leader of the Pack in the clubs as a goof. We
Yeah.
did a lot of songs as a goof. We really did. We had to play all night long. We did a lot of weird songs. We
Hmm.
really did. Um, I was completely against it. Um, I just it didn't it messed with the formula too much, and we put a lot of effort into recording the album and making that video. And then we had a long form video that we made at the same time, which never really got released. Um, and it just didn't feel good. It wasn't well accepted. The fans didn't like it as an overall thing, even though the songs are great. I'm not taking the songs on, but it's just the wrong the wrong feel, the wrong thing. We weren't ready for a concept album yet.
Yeah.
We just weren't. We just put an album out with 10 or 11 songs on and go kick ass.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the reputation we had, and we
Yep.
didn't do that at that point.
Definitely a lot of external influences. Like you had like Billy Joel playing on it. You had, Clarence Clemens,
Alice Cooper.
Cooper, yeah. And it's like that can, whether intentionally or not, I'm sure that had to affect the band.
Um, it was very cool for the guys in the band to be able to say that we recorded with these people,
Oh, for sure.
but the hard rock dedicated 12 million people around the world, they just weren't into that. I mean, our fans were not Billy Joel fans, even though he's incredible. Alice Cooper, yes, but the other people that were around, they didn't care. They're like, why are you guys doing this? What's the
Mm,
point? You messed with a formula,
yeah.
and it was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does boggle my mind how the video for Be Cruel to Your School was banned on MTV for being offensive. Like there's nothing
Oh.
wrong with that video other than just being goofy. It's fun.
It's just they said it was what the lyrics insinuated and stuff, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like when the PMRC was around, when Dee went and spoke before Congress.
Hmm.
Yep.
They thought Under the Blade was about sadomasochism. I'm sorry. You're being just violent to
Yeah.
like women or something. It wasn't. Under the Blade. Eddie had to get he had polyps on his voice box, and Dee wrote a song about it. Under the Blade. They had to go in
Mm.
there and cut out the pot. That's all it was. It was that simple.
Yeah. Well,
Sadomasochism.
There we go.
that is one of the
So
greatest moments of music history ever. And I implore you, if you are a fan of music and even understand any idea of what the PMRC did and caused, you
oh,
should go see that section of video.
that's just bad government.
It's horrible.
And now you look at what's going on in music today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody says anything bad about it.
No.
It's just like when Elvis came out, all the society, parents and teachers and government hated him, and all the young people loved him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just because the way he moved.
Yeah. He shook his hips.
Yeah, shook his hips. Yeah,
Isn't that wild?
exactly. So, time will always tell.
Yeah. So going back just real quick to Stay Hungry, can you kind of talk about, any of the heat between the band and the producer, Tom Werman? And do you think any of that conflict helped or hurt the overall vibe of that album?
That's an interesting question. Despite what people say, including some of the band members, I was there for 98% of recording that album in New York and LA. I became good friends with Tom Werman. I became good friends with the engineer, Jeff Workman. And I didn't care about some of the work ethics they had, but they were still good guys.
Mhm.
And so when we got signed and Atlantic Records decided to use Tom Werman, um, Tom came down to a studio that we were rehearsing in and listened to the songs. We had them recorded already on demo, 16 track. And the first thing he said was, I don't like the songs. We're not going to take it, and I want to rock. I want you guys to do 3 Saxon remake songs. And we're looking at each other going, those songs are big hits. What the hell are you talking about? So there was a big argument about that, and we won because when the record company heard the songs, they're like, yeah, they're hits. We're going to do them. So right then and there, Tom wasn't happy, but um, I would say that uh, D and JJ never had a good relationship with him. And that lasted through the years. I don't know if they've ever really spoken to him, but they would bad rap him often. I wouldn't. I didn't like how he recorded the album and what he did, but he was a good person. I hung out with him a lot. And to get into the little semantics of it all, it happened a long time ago. It really
Yeah.
did. It happened a long time ago, and there's no reason to drag him down or or say something bad with him. But I never had arguments with him, and I was in the studio suggesting things all of the time,
Hmm.
all of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were absolutely, critical to the re-recording, the Stay Hungry,
Or still hungry.
or
Still
Still
hungry.
Hungry,
Still
Yeah,
hungry.
sorry.
I produced it. I
Yeah.
produced it and engineered it also with my good friend, God rest his soul, George Marshall. He was
Hmm.
also an engineer back then.
What was the main reasoning for re-recording that? Because a lot of times bands kind of re-record their back catalog or a classic album because of rights issues and stuff like that. But
Well,
was it
we did
just a
it.
sonic thing?
Well, it was a few things. It was the sonic thing. We wanted it to sound a little bit more modern, but still sound like Twisted Sister, which is what I was doing at the time to everything we were recording. And it was also if we re-recorded it because it had been so much time, we would have owned it. We didn't own the original version of Stay Hungry.
Mm.
So, but Still Hungry, the band owned.
Yep.
So we licensed a lot of the songs on that album, especially We're Not Gonna Take It and I Want to Rock to
Mhm.
things. And some people wanted to have the original, so we made 50% instead of 100%.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for doing it. And it was quite successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sold a lot, and a lot of people, a lot of radio stations, when they played Twisted, they actually played that album because it sonically sound better and heavier.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, so that kind of leads us to the final album of all original music, Love is for Suckers. Controversial to say the least.
Yeah.
Hey, look, hey, listen, I don't even want to hear any negativity on this album because I I no, in all reality, I just want to say this. Of all the Twisted Sister albums, this thing seemed like it had the biggest kind of production behind it. It sounded very big, in my opinion. And as much as I love all of Twisted's uh, library, this album holds a special place in my heart, believe it or not. I did dig a lot of tunes on this. Wake Up the Sleeping Giant. Um, I can't remember. So Hot for You or
Hot
something like
Love.
that. Hot
Uh,
Love, yes.
That was
Hot
the
the
Love
hit.
was
the
Hot
single,
Love was
yep.
Hot
So
Love.
so
Hot Love
let
was
me
amazing.
let me cut in here and say to you that you are right now on the wrong podcast.
Next
I'm
week on
sorry,
Hooked on
man.
Sonics.
Hey, look,
No, no,
I
I
made no
will.
bones about it. I'm a fan. I made no bones
And
about
listen, and I appreciate anybody who's a fan.
it.
Um, of course, he's a great songwriter, and I don't have a problem with the song. It was all the circumstances around it and how it was recorded and what went on.
Yeah.
Um, and it was wrong. There was some internal problems in the band. Hence, AJ had left at that point,
Hmm.
because he couldn't stand doing things this way anymore. And it was Hot Love was not a Twisted Sister hit,
Yeah,
No.
without a doubt. It was not a Twisted
I can
Sister.
agree. I
That
can
was
agree with that.
supposed to be a D. Snyder solo album,
Right.
and it should
Now,
have been.
now, did you guys actually end up playing anything on it? Because I've kind of heard a few different things. Like you guys had little to no involvement, and I've heard that you guys did most of it, but they brought in the Red Beach for most of the guitars. So
Joe Franco played drums.
okay.
The drums were triggered. They weren't his sound of his drums, which I didn't like.
Mhm.
I played bass on everything,
Okay.
and that's a whole nother story. Um, Both Eddie and JJ played parts on it. Eddie played most of his parts. JJ played some of his parts. Um, they also didn't want us singing, so Dee did all the lead vocals, and they had the guys from I think Dokken were doing background vocals or something. I don't
Mm.
remember. I really don't. It was
Okay.
a bad time. It was a
Yeah.
bad time. I didn't get along with Bo Hill, who was the producer. I didn't like his habits. I didn't like how he handled things. And yeah, I could say that there was a point where I said to him, and we're up on I don't know, the eighth floor or something in New York City. And, we had a big argument. And I said to him, look at those pretty windows. You can see everything. He goes, yeah, what about him? I said, pick a window. You're leaving. I was going to throw him through a window.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
I've been there.
it's just, it was a bad time for the band. The band was becoming completely unglued.
Yeah.
And
What was causing that though? Was it the success? Was it just, you're constantly around each other, there was no break? What was the big factor to that?
well, I mean, Dee had lead singer syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big, huge part of the problem. And the band, I argued with him, JJ argued with him, and we're doing the wrong things here. We're doing completely the wrong things. I mean, same thing would come out and play. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what are we doing? We need volume 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or volume 4, and we got to go down the line. And maybe in a couple of years, you want to do a concept album, we could sit there and do, something like Jethro Tull did for, a brick in the wall, or Pink Floyd did, and even Led Zeppelin did, but too early. But we got to get out there and do what we do best. We got to do songs that we get out in front of 115,000 people and slay them and kick ass.
Yeah.
And he just didn't see it that way.
You
Yeah.
guys are known for some of
So
the greatest anthem songs of all time.
No two ways about it. And probably two of the most licensed rock songs ever in the history of rock music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those songs are in everything, movies, commercials, you name it.
Now you guys had another hit that I don't think is as well known unless you're really a fan, or you're, even a light fan. Burnin' Hell is still one of my absolute hands down
Now
favorite top
that
tier
is
songs.
that is a great TS song, without a doubt. Dee came up with an amazing idea for that song, and there's no two ways about it. It really was. It was a great song. I loved playing it live. The band was very dramatic during that song, and it really was. It's a great song. I mean, I don't complain about any of the songs that he wrote.
Yeah.
He's a great songwriter, great concept guy, but some stuff at the wrong time is why the band ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, think about it. You had this big wave of and formula of you created the anthem, you did the love song, and then you come back with an anthem, and this was the mix for pretty much what would go on from the late 70s through the 80s. And then the fun party time ended when this whole wave of, what was it, sludge, or
What are you thinking of?
like Nirvana and stuff like that.
Grunge?
When
Oh, grunge music.
Yeah, when
Well, I
grunge
mean,
moved in, the
Twisted,
party was over. The
but
party was
Twisted
just
broke
over.
up. Twisted broke up way before grunge came around. We were
Right.
we were already out of the scene. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you guys weren't even touring at that time?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
It ended when Come Out and Play ended. We were done in
Yeah.
1980. We
5?
stopped playing 87, beginning of
Yeah.
88. It was over. The band dissolved. But JJ and I, we kept the name alive for many, many years by every 18 months releasing some product, either live album or old studio stuff. And,
Right.
that kept the name, licensed and everything. And we did it
Yeah.
right till we got back together again. And then we were making some new music. Well, not new music, but we were recording some new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely without that, I mean, it's hard to, you kept the band relevant.
Yeah.
By doing those releases and stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you
When
for
we
that.
weren't a band. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Because the other guys were not involved with it whatsoever.
Yep.
Not at all.
So we're done with Twisted Sister. We get hooked up with Leslie West, who, my
Well,
God.
let me just interrupt you there.
Sure.
Leslie West, I played with while I was still in Twisted Sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because in the winters at that point, we really didn't, nobody was really touring in the winter. So
Mhm.
Leslie, for like, I think it was 3 winters in a row, he would say to Joe Franco and me, go, let's go out. And we go out for a couple of weeks at a time and then come home and then go out for a couple of weeks. Yeah, we
Mhm.
did a lot of playing in the winters. I think it was 3 winters in a row. Yeah, it was great. He's
Yeah.
one of my heroes in
Yeah.
rock music. Leslie West is just at the pinnacle of guitar tone.
Yes. I mean, him and Jeff Beck to me are those guitar players that, they never get enough credit and they're always overlooked when you're talking about some of the best guitar players, on your
Well,
major lists and stuff.
there are certainly the list of incredible, amazing, inhuman guitar players is endless. It really is. It's endless. And I'm a fan, a guitar, even though I'm a bass player, I'm a guitar player fan. And when you got guys like Billy Gibbons and and Leslie West, I'm sorry, Billy Gibbons and Eddie Van Halen and Steve Vai and all of these guys who all loved Leslie, even Jimi Hendrix loved Leslie West. And only got to see him a few times. But if you look at all of them, there's imitators of every guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's not one single person that I've ever seen that imitated Leslie West properly.
Right.
Nobody has the vibrato and the tone. It ain't happening. And I saw Leslie West hundreds of times in the original Mountain
Mhm.
and by himself. And then I played with him every night, for like three winters in a row. And it was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
It really was. And nobody, I'll tell you a quick story about Leslie West. We were like, this is like our second year going out, and we were playing a place in Connecticut in New Haven called Toad's Place.
Mhm.
Still there, still has bands. And we do a sound check, and we're big sound, 3-piece band. We sound huge. And he takes it off his Les Paul and he puts it in a guitar stand and he had two 50-watt Marshall stacks. That was it with the guitar, nothing else. And I always try to emulate him. So I walk over to the guitar and I point at it, and he's already off the stage. I go, Leslie, yeah. And I point to the guitar. He goes, go ahead. So I pick up the guitar, just turn the volume on a little, jink, 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 and then I whip out big chords like he does. The G and the D. I mean, it's just there's hair and blood coming from the ceiling. That's what describes his tone, right? And then I do a couple of riffs, like I do some short riffs like him, and I try to get the vibrato going, and he's waving his arms like this, and I stop. I turn the volume down. What's up, Leslie? He goes, don't play any leads, just play the chords. You sound like me on the chords only. Yeah. I couldn't, it was, yeah. That's what he said. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
What?
funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. He
just
said, you had me at chords, but you didn't have me at the leads. Yeah. Nobody can copy him. Nobody.
No.
Nobody. Nobody.
No, I absolutely agree. That live album he put out in like '93 is just like Leslie West Live, a phenomenal album.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Now, and I think, you were kind of in and out with Leslie throughout the years, right? And like it was between you and Richie Scarlett, who used to play with Ace Frehley,
Yeah,
uh,
yes.
switch
Richie's a
on
great guy,
bass.
man. A
Oh
really
yeah,
good
man.
guy. He kept Richie Scarlett because Richie, I think, really had a better schedule to go out and play.
Yeah.
I wasn't always available, so he stayed with Richie Scarlett.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny.
Leslie Woods.
It's funny. It's funny the connections. Guys that work with different guys, and how the networking's done. And I guess New York's probably one of the best places to do it in.
At the
Oh
time,
yeah.
especially, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The clubs were still numerous. When I was playing with Leslie, they were still out there. You could play a lot, but we didn't. I mean, we went as far west as like close to the Mississippi.
Hmm.
And as far south as like into the Carolinas. We never made it to Florida, but there was plenty of places we could play,
Oh yeah.
and we did. We
Yep.
did. And Leslie wasn't interested in making new music or anything, just playing the old stuff. So that's what we did. And it was fun. I'm playing with one of my heroes.
Yeah.
Who could say that? But Leslie it was a lot of great times with Leslie. I could tell you a million stories about it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. So, I know we're getting ready to start wrapping up a little bit. You guys and Twisted Sister got back together for a few different tours. Um, was there ever any intention of recording new music together, or is it just we're just we're just doing the tour thing?
At the time we got back together, if you want to call it really, we played a show in November of 2001, the first
Hmm.
time we played in like 13 years.
That was the
For
9/11 benefit. Yep.
that was New York Steel. Eddie
Yep.
Trunk put that together, and we had no intentions of going past that.
Hmm.
No intentions. And in 2003, I think it was March of 2003, we did a USO tour for in the military, and we actually couldn't go to the Mideast because the war was happening. We went to South Korea,
Hmm.
and the whole world heard we were touring. We were touring. We were playing those particular gigs, and they just made us unbelievable offers. So, we all said, all right, let's see what we can make, and we did, and we played for what was it, 13 years together as a band.
Yep.
And at no point I was interested in doing new music, but the band really said, let's just live off of what we got,
Okay.
and that's what we're going to have to play. And because in the even into the early 2000s, when a band put out a new album, like Iron Maiden put out a new album, everybody go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the line. I don't think so, because I'm a big
I.
Iron Maiden fan, but
Mhm.
yeah, so we never had any intentions of putting out new music. It never came up. Nothing. It was something we just didn't discuss because nobody wanted to do it except for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How had you guys grown or changed in that time apart?
Oh, you mean like when we weren't together for the
Correct.
90s?
So yeah, so from say 87 to 2001, like what, how did you guys mend those fences? How did you guys kind of change with each other?
That would be an individual question for the guys in the band.
Hmm.
I can't really answer for them. I can only surmise what they would say. I know some of it. For me, I had no interest in doing it again. I hadn't spoken to AJ. I talked to, but I hadn't spoken to D or Eddie in 13 years.
Hmm.
I had no interest in speaking to D or anything like that. So, we didn't really make amends. We just said we have a business to run. Let's go run it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
for me. That was
Yeah.
for me, not the rest of them. I can't answer for the rest of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, so the final tour was 2015-16. Right before that, we lost AJ Pero.
2 years before that, right?
2 years.
Yeah.
What, can you share some good memories about AJ?
Wow. Oh, millions of great. I got to make it a full picture here, okay? Not just AJ, but I will include him in there. We are all in incredible situations with our friends and bandmates and people who we go to school with and stuff. And I'm going to put it to you straight. Twisted Sister, the five guys in Twisted Sister with AJ were the funniest motherfuckers on the planet. We would all run out of air laughing. No matter how tensions were between us, it was unbelievable. It was the funniest situation I had ever been in my life. And I played with a lot of crazy people, in and out of music. And that was it was insanity. It really was. The comedy was brutal. Everybody had sharp teeth and fast answers to anything. Oh man, yeah, you didn't want to be in our sights. In the 80s, if somebody gave my manager Mark Puma a hard time, he'd get a word to us and he'd say, "Why don't you come in and meet the band?" And they would come in the room and I would kick the door closed behind them and go, "Now you can't leave." And we would physically, mentally, and verbally abuse them. Everybody, the crew would never come into our dressing room because they got destroyed. destroyed. No, everybody knew to stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just stay away.
Listen, busting balls is a love language. That's
Oh,
all there is to it.
I'm telling you, there's times, all of us, the tears are running down our cheeks, and you can't breathe anymore. It's like I can't breathe, man. I can't breathe, and it's not because I'm under arrest. You can't breathe.
That's
It's so
right.
funny. It really is so funny. Yeah, and every band, some quick stories for you. I know we got to cut it short. Um, Especially in the 2000s when we got back and we were headlining all these monster festivals in this country and Europe, some in Canada and South America. So you would walk backstage, and a lot of these places had temporary walls in a big room. They weren't like actually rooms.
Mhm.
And you'd walk by dressing rooms and see the other bands, and they'd be laying on the couch playing video games or sleeping. You get down to the end of the hall where we were, and there was brawls. Not because we were fighting. There
Yeah.
was beating up the road crew, throwing stuff over the top of the walls. It was like Animal House. It really was. It was like Animal
Yeah.
House. It was like the college fraternity. It
Yeah.
really was. It was insane. It was constantly, Oh yeah, yeah. It just we were up in oh God, I want to say New Hampshire a whole bunch of years ago, and again there was one of those drop ceilings,
Mhm.
and me and AJ are fighting, and we're banging into the walls, and the ceilings are going up. The ceiling tiles are moving, right? And we get Eddie in the middle of it, and he's complaining, and Phil Carson is sitting right outside the room, and the people told us the story, and everybody's like, and they hear us yell, you hear, oh, oh, bang, bang, and dust would come out of the ceiling. And Phil Carson knew what we were doing. He'd go, don't worry about it. And an eloquent British accent, by the way, which I can't imitate. He would go, don't worry. The boys are just working something out. And it would sound like there's a full bore professional wrestling thing going on in the dressing room. So, and it was like that all of the time,
Yeah.
all the time, even on airplanes. I mean, it was just, it was a shit show. It really was a shit
That's
show.
awesome.
Oh yeah, we'd have the whole plane laughing. The whole area of the plane would be laughing with us.
So would you say that AJ was your favorite traveling partner?
Um, I would say all of them were.
Yeah.
AJ and I got along really well. I miss him deeply, like a brother.
Yeah.
We were both karate students, and we used to spar without hurting each other, but we would spar once in a while and
Mhm.
wrestle, and we're like high school kids.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, I could tell you endless stories of the comedy and stuff that went on. It was just endless. The
Yeah.
guys in Twisted that's the funniest band I've ever been in. No one will touch it. Everything was funny, and I cranked everybody up in the other bands, even Leslie West. But nothing was as funny as the five guys in TS.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
Man.
Great.
I love that. So a couple of quick little things.
Go ahead.
I know you guys are really into charities and giving back to the communities and different causes. Do you have any upcoming, rides or anything like that?
I do not, but I will. Possibly after the summer this year. I'm just too busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't make any commitments. But yes, yeah, I occasionally do charity appearances.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great charity around here. We have a bunch of them. Tunnels to Towers, which still is the
Yes.
9/11 thing. I appear for them and MC for them. I still do it for breast cancer awareness. I do a bunch of things. I show up and just MC. Played once in a while at a charity event, get up with a band. I just did that a few weeks ago at an event. I played with a local band called Mr. Oh my God, what am I talking Mistress Mayhem Mistress of Mayhem. Great band. They're great friends of mine now. I just
Yeah.
it just I'm tired and it just escapes me. They're a great club band around here. They really are. They're a great band. A lot of fun. The boys and girls are really a lot of fun. And I hate the fact that I didn't get the name right, though. Believe me, I'm going to hear it. They're going to
Oh,
watch
yeah.
this. They go, "What the hell's wrong with you? You play with us all the time." Um, so yes, D and I did the D Snyder motorcycle run for 17 years in a row.
Yep.
The most successful motorcycle run in the Northeast. The most people. We never had less than 1,100 bikes. At one point, we actually had 1,600. On the nice days, it was overwhelming. It was
Yeah.
overwhelming. So it was always great causes. And of course, whatever the band was playing,
Hmm.
Dee and I would get up and play some songs with them. So the crowd loved it. And it was good stuff. But, giving back is a big part of when you have a name like I do, or a name like, the band has, or the guys in the band.
Hmm.
So it's always an important thing, and people always appreciate it.
Yeah.
What are you
You
riding on nowadays?
know, I have 5 Harleys. I had about
Nice.
16 at one point. I sold most of them. I've got two that are in pieces that I'm working on, a third that I'm just about done with, but I've got two that are always ready to go. Nothing brand new. I have older bikes. My newest bike is a 2000. You want to call it an FLH? It was a street glide. I built it back up into a tour bike, a touring bike, all built by me. And then my other bike, which I take out once in a while, and everybody wants to buy it, is an all original, except for the tires and lubricants, an all original 1990 gray Fat Boy with the yellow stripes.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Yeah, there's very few of them left because
Yeah.
people rebuilt them and painted them and stuff. I have an all original one. Whenever I ride it, uh, I'll give you, I'll pay. No, it's not for sale. Get out of here. Yeah. So those are my two street bikes that I actually ride. I used to have a lot more, but
Yeah.
it's like everything else. Where do you store all this stuff? You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
I mean, I've been in the car and auto and motorcycle business forever. I actually had a couple of businesses. I probably got $100,000 worth of tools and machinery. So um, yeah, it's just what do you do after a while? You don't have time to take care of everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm sorry I sold, all my hot rod cars because at one point I had some unbelievable cars, but it's like, where do you keep everything?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, hopefully before anything bad happens to me, I'll get a couple more cars too.
Now, my
Yeah.
stepdad had a really nice bike, and I'll just go ahead and mention this before we go because I'm a big Harley fan myself. My stepdad, two of my favorite bikes that he's owned, and he had owned several over the years before he passed, God rest his soul. He had an 86 Sportster and a 1978 75th anniversary police special.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
bike,
Yeah.
man. It was black with a blue pinstriping. It was beautiful. And when he got rid of it, man, it broke my heart.
Yep.
Yeah. It's great stuff. I love all that stuff. I really do.
Uh,
I always have grease under the fingernails. Always though.
I love it. Uh, uh, Mark, where can people find out about what you're doing with whether it's with Area 22 Productions or anything you're doing with these independent artists?
Okay, so Area 22 Productions is not on the air right now. I
Okay.
probably will bring it back when I have a little bit more time to pay attention to it. Um, of course, you could go to, which there's nothing much there right now, but in the near future, there'll be a whole bunch on, Mark The Animal Mendoza on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Um, just look for all that stuff and you'll be able to see everything that's going on. If you just search for my name, you'll actually find some of the songs that I'm doing with Marla. She
Mm-hmm.
releases every month or so, a couple of months, she'll release another song. And that's going really, really well. I'm in talks with a couple of pretty big name other musicians to start something, and they're all under obligation right now, so I can't mention their names, but we already started writing some songs together. So also going to do a band, like a pop, rock, jazz, blues band with Mahler. I play in another local band. I'm not with them right now because I'm just too busy, but a band called Joe Rock and the All Stars, just a club band.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I'll be going back to that soon, probably by July. And I do tons of voiceovers.
Okay.
I do corporate appearances, probably one or two a month. Somebody gets me to go up there, and it's great. You just get up and talk, make fun of people, and got to keep it clean because it's a
Uh,
mixed audience.
no, absolutely.
So yeah, I get reminded of that all the time by my agent. So, and I never say anything wrong, you know. So yeah, so I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm really busy. I can't complain. I really
Yeah.
can't. I really can't complain. Things are really good. I'll be celebrating my 70th birthday in a couple of months. I can't believe I got this far. I did a lot of dangerous things and stupid things in my life. So, no alcohol or drugs or cigarettes or anything, but I've
Yep.
done a lot of crazy things in life. And, but I'm thankful. I'm
Yep.
thankful. How did I get into music? Here's a great story for you, a real quick one.
Okay.
When I was about ooh, 6 or 7 years old, I remember one night I woke up on a Saturday night and and I heard my parents talking in the living room, and I snuck out there. And my father and my mom, they pick up the coffee table and they move it out of the way. And they were into swing music,
Mm-hmm.
the big band era. And they dropped the needle on a record and they started dancing. Right? I was amazed.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed. And like once or twice a month, they would do that. And if I woke up, I would go out and watch. And it was incredible. And what got me about the swing music was the rhythm, the
Mm-hmm.
stand-up bass and the drummers. And that's where I started to feel from. I never even knew it until I actually studied all the music when I got a bit older and I could
Yeah.
understand it. So, but yeah, that's where it started for me. That's
Wow.
where it started. Absolutely. My parents were a big influence on me. They were great people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really were.
Do you have a favorite swing band?
Oh, um, on Long Island here, which is still there today and has major concerts, is the Jones Beach Theater.
Yep.
Okay, you ever been there?
I've never been there, but I've seen
Okay,
plenty of YouTube.
on a beautiful night,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably one of the coolest places, like Red Rocks in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the beach. It's on the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, and it's one of the coolest places to see a concert. Well, it's been there. I think in the late 50s they built it. They actually made it bigger over the years. So you name it, I would go with my parents all the time. My sister was too young to go, but I always loved the music, so they would take me and we'd go see uh, you name it. Every single band played Jones Beach, and it was just phenomenal. And I always remembered the rhythm of the songs. That's until I got old enough to understand it and pick out all the musicianship. But God, I saw everybody, man. I really did. I saw a lot of music, and it's amazing that I still remember it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was so young. It was so influential on me.
You pretty much grew up and experienced a time of music that'll never, ever happen again. Never. We'll never see
I
another era of music from the 70s to the
I
80s.
I am I've seen everybody in that era starting first time I went to a concert. Listen, first time I went to a big concert was in 1969 and I saw Steppenwolf,
Mm.
1969, the original band. I saw them
Yeah.
play, and it went uphill. It went skyrocketing after that. I witnessed one of the all-time great concerts that most people don't talk about. I didn't get to Woodstock. I was too young. but but I was there when Grand Funk Railroad headlined Shea Stadium
Oh
and Humble
wow.
Pie opened, and it was.
Wow.
I still remember it now. I remember the levels bouncing up and down from the people. The whole
Mm-hmm.
stadium was moving. It was incredible. It really was. Legendary
Wow.
night. Legendary. I saw I saw so many bands. I saw on that first Montrose album, like we were talking about, I saw Montrose open up for The Who
Mm.
at the Nassau Coliseum and Madison Square Garden. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I saw that. Unbelievable amount of shows. I saw Aerosmith play at a small club when they were big. They played a small club called the Rock Pile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so many people. I mean, I was actually in 1968, I saw Cream play at a place that's long gone, the Island Garden. It was like a hockey arena right out here in West Hempstead. Okay, they headlined the place, and my middle school was down the street, so I went down, and the security guard would let us stand inside the door, watch Cream doing soundtracks.
Wow.
You just think of 1968.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I did. I did. I mean, other people saw more than I saw. I saw a lot. I
Yeah.
saw a real lot, a real lot. And
And you're blessed to be a part of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't appreciate it when I joined the Dictators and went into the whole CBGB scene. But after I was there and I realized I was seeing bands that nobody knew of at the time, like Blondie
Mm-hmm.
and Talking Heads,
Yep.
you name it.
Television.
Television. I saw them all before anybody knew who they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the Ramones. Nobody knew who the Ramones were back then.
Right.
You know, they got big at the same time the Dictators did. So,
Yep.
dozens and dozens of incredible acts and great bands. And, you know, it was joining the Dictators and playing some of those places just broadened my horizons.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more music than just what I like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know, and I accepted it all. I really did.
Yep.
That's what the podcast is pretty much about, man. Because Bruce and I have very different tastes when it comes to music, and we listen to different things across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we'll do is we'll give each other random albums out of nowhere that they have no idea what they're in store for the next week, and we sit down and we review it. And
Yep.
we've been doing this for almost we're going to get ready to go into our
5
fourth
years.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, the fans have more, I don't know, not arguments, but like disagreements about who's the best.
Yeah.
Well, there's no best.
It's personal choice.
It's what gets your blood to boil, or what floats your boat. You know, people love Rush. You know, Rush, great band. I'm just saying, you're making a face.
Yeah.
They're a freaking incredible band. You know, there's no best. You know, Steve Vai is the best guitar player in the world. You know, there's no best. It's what you like. It
Mhm.
really is. It's what makes you, what gets you going of the music that you listen to. So, you know, everybody goes, "What's your favorite music?" No, I can't list it. I like everything. I like a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things I just don't listen to, not because it sucks. It doesn't do anything for me. But
Yep.
it's not a lot. I listen to everything. I play so many. You know, I'm a sub. I'm a third stringer in a jazz quartet.
Mm.
I'm playing jazz. You know, it's freaky. But yeah, and then I learned all the stuff, and you know, I watched the jazz guys play, and you know, but I learned a lot of that even before I did it. You know, because that's probably what makes me play the way I play is all the diverse stuff that I've played over the years. You know, I play once in a while I play in a country band. These are all corporate bands. They don't play clubs, but I play in a country band.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you know, but I'm the third stringer. I'm not in any band regularly. I don't want to. I don't have the time. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
dedicate time to this stuff.
You jam where you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You know,
So, having said all that, we're going to ask you to give us an album that, whether it means something to you, whether it's something that you just got turned on to yourself, something we need you to give us an album to talk about on the next show that we do the album reviews.
Well, it'll be the week
2
after
weeks from
next.
now.
2 weeks
Correct.
from now. Yeah.
wow, that's a tough one, man. That really is. I can't. If somebody said pick your 20 favorite albums and that's all you can ever listen to, there's no way that would happen.
Right.
There's just no way that would happen. You know, I would name some of the influential albums that influenced me in certain ways, and it may not be rock music. But like
When
what
people
hit
get
me hard, you know what? If you guys are telling me I got to come up with a choice,
Yep.
I'll give you a few choices.
Just give us one.
one.
All right. I would say the first Montrose album
Okay.
was just, it was like if you wanted to be a rock musician or a rock singer and you could play those songs, whether you're a guitar player, a drummer, a bass player, a singer, the way they were on the Montrose album, the way I saw them live,
Mhm.
you were a good musician and you could be in a rock band.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
I mean,
Okay.
there's other bands. There's like bands like, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Cactus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Cactus, I was a big fan of Cactus. Humble Pie. Oh man, those guys killed it live.
You've had
Killed
a light,
it live.
You've had a light shift on you there, bud.
What's that?
You've had a light shift over there on you, so half your camera's lit up.
Is it? What happened? I mean, the room's not full of smoke.
No. Okay.
I don't know what's
Good
going on.
deal.
I don't know. All right. So we've got the self-titled debut album from Montrose.
Montrose.
As
Go
of,
with it for now.
and we'll
Beautiful.
be doing that with so next week we'll be interviewing Matthias, I believe it's Njord from
Mhm.
Fire Breather.
Fire Breather.
They'll be or he'll be on the show to discuss their upcoming release, what he can of it at least.
Yep.
And then the week after that, we'll be getting ready to close out the season with a previous episode or a soon to be episode of us reviewing Montrose and then whatever Matthias
Matthias
gives us.
gives. Yep.
Yeah.
Could be
Sounds good.
fun.
It'll be an interesting episode. This
That'd
will
be
be a
great.
lot of fun.
You know, I got to say, you guys are great. You had great questions. You did your homework. You know how many people I get on a show with and they go, "How'd you get the name Twisted Sister?" I go, "Obviously, you didn't do your homework because it's everywhere."
Yeah.
where the
No,
name
we're
came
music
from.
fans, man. We're music fans
Yeah,
first and
but
foremost.
you
And we're
guys are
fans
great.
of you. Thanks, man. We
Well, I
love you.
appreciate that, but I'll say, you know, from my angle, you guys were a lot of fun. You asked a lot of great questions, and you dealt with my silliness. And if you ever want to do this again, you let me know.
You know what?
Appreciate it, Mo.
We often do end of season episodes where we bring on a panel of people and guest people. If you'd ever be interested, we'll reach out, man, and we'll let you know what the subject would be.
You let me know. It's been a pleasure with you, gentlemen.
All right.
Listen, as I say to people that I get along with on stage, well, no matter what band, it's been a pleasure sharing the stage of battle with you guys.
Thank you, sir. All right.
You as well. All right.
Awesome. I'm Tone.
I'm Bruce.
And
That's
down
Mark.
there, that's Mark. And we're hooked on Sonics. We'll see you guys next time around.
Good night, everybody.